Hi there. So I've had a few friends say to me, yeah, you love trade unions, you love equity. But what do trade unions actually do? So a trade union is a group of people in a particular sector or industry who come together to better their pay and terms and conditions. Yes, I already knew that, but how? Okay, good question. So in equity, the union for performers and creative workers in the performing arts sector, there are a few main things that the union does. The first and most important thing that the union does is collective bargaining. This is to make collective agreements which will cover loads of different workers over a set period, usually around 2 years. So you might have heard about the negotiations for the West End a couple of years ago. That was a negotiation with all of the West End producers to develop terms for all of the workers on those contracts. So in those negotiations, the main thing that we were demanding was a 17% pay rise, which through negotiation we then got. We got a 16.7% pay rise. How did we get that? That was through equity, our union, coming together with the producers and saying, this is what we want. They would then come back with a counter offer. We would then come with another offer until eventually there would be some sort of stalemate reached. At that point, that's then where you get into the potential for industrial action. So people were asked on the West End, would you be prepared to go on strike or some sort of industrial action? To say, we are not going to sign anything, we're not going to carry on with work until you improve our pay. So this was what we were saying. Because they thought, oh, okay, well, there's a threat of the whole of the West End shutting down, they then pretty much agreed to our terms, and our members voted overwhelmingly to accept the offer that was on the table. So that is why we then accepted a 16.7% pay increase. So that agreement was then put to the relevant members. The relevant members then voted on that to say whether they wanted to accept or reject those terms for that new collective agreement in the West End. So that's what a collective agreement is. It's something that covers a wide number of workers in a particular sector. There's also the pact agreements that's being negotiated at the moment. That's in like the TV and film industry. And there's various different things that are being negotiated there on a better royalty system, so subsequent payments if a show does really well, protections around AI, properly codified self-tape guidelines as well to be written into these contracts. So yeah, these are the sorts of things that we're negotiating as a collective. So that's the big one. That's the way that we'll make the biggest wins. And if you think, oh, there isn't a collective agreement in my bit of the industry, we need one. We want to get as many collective agreements as possible so that we can improve the terms and conditions of as many people as possible. So that's one, collective agreements. The next one, I think it's really kind of low-hanging fruit. It's the threat of legal action. So there was an example a little while ago of a friend who was working in a small theatre. They then had the equity chat where a staff member from the union came to visit the cast and the stage management, and the equity staff member said, you know, you're not being paid holiday pay appropriately. So if enough of you would like to, we can threaten the company with legal action until they pay this appropriate legally required holiday pay. Everyone in this company then agreed to this, and they won before it needed to be taken to court. Reason being that the employer knew that they would lose, and equity has enough muscle to be able to go, don't mess with us, because we've got the financial backing of 50,000 members to be able to take you to court over this. So we win these sorts of cases all the time, whether that's on minimum wage not being paid, or holiday pay not being paid properly, or pension contributions not being given, all of these sorts of things that employers try their luck all the time with these sorts of things, and we have to be aware of them, and they have to be reported to the union so that the union can go, oi, stop doing this. And we win all the time. There's other things the union does as well that are really key, like negotiating our insurance that we get. So members get public liability insurance, also facilitating us to have a pension that recently it's been made a lot greener and a lot more ethical. Yeah, these things are really, really valuable, but I wanted to just give a really quick, short rundown of the main things. So the main things being collective agreements. We need them, we want them improved. The second thing being legal action, and the third and fourth being insurance and pensions. And then lastly, I suppose, the union is also used as a political vehicle, so to push members' interests in Parliament and make sure that MPs are fighting for the things that matter to our members. We're also not just used as a political force in Parliament, but also outside of it, so around Spotlight. So we filed a class action lawsuit against Spotlight because we think they're overcharging our members. We think they're overcharging performers to be included in the Spotlight directory. If you want to get involved, I would say start with looking up the different networks. There's loads of different absolutely brilliant networks that it's very easy to just go and get involved with straight away. So we have networks like the relatively new Choreographers and Movement Directors Network. We've got the Equity for a Green New Deal network, which I'm a part of, which is kind of pushing the green agenda, whether that comes to the Theatre Green Book or pensions or our unions' investments, all of that sort of stuff. And then there's the Class Network, which is basically a hub for working class members. There's also the Drag Artists Network, the Comedians Network. There's all of these different networks that are either issue specific or job specific. If you've got anything to say on any of these things, including and especially on collective agreements, please go and get involved with any of those networks. They are the beating heart of our union, and they're where people can really, really get involved in order to shape the direction of the union. Shape the direction of the union. Anyway, any questions or anything like that, please feel free to ask. Cheers, everyone.